Yes.
Okay. I'm Devin Refutation, and I'm going to be refuting the speaker's claim that America is not the land of equal opportunity. The speaker's three secondary claims were: 1, different economic classes bring different opportunities in the way a person lives; 2, being in different social classes brings different ways of education; and 3, a person's probability of being successful is contributed through his or her gender and race. In his first secondary claim, stating that different economic classes bring different opportunities in the way a person lives, the speaker reveals that the poverty rate increased in 2004 for the 4th year in a row, meaning that 12.7% of the American population was living in poverty. However, Kosu Kudakawa of the Harvard Observatory reported that in 1993 the poverty rate was at a large 15.1%, and between 1993 and 2000 the poverty rate fell considerably each year up until 2000, when the rates had gone down to 11.3%. So this shorter growth period that the speaker mentions is substantially small compared to the 7-year decline that occurred prior. The speaker also notes several statistics dealing with the fact that there is an upper class and a lower class. Though the numbers he states may have been true, there exists a hierarchy among social classes in every country, many of which are far more radical than the U.S., so this statement is inadequate. It was also recorded in the World Factbook by the American CIA that from 2002 to 2010, the United States ranked 19th least impoverished country in the world. So if the speaker believes that poverty causes inequity in the U.S., what does this mean for the large majority of other countries that fall behind us? They definitely do not house a population that is more well off, and for a lot of them, it shows the only equity occurring is the fact that the majority of them are suffering from poverty. In the speaker's next secondary claim, saying that being in different social classes brings about different ways of education, he states that students with a family income of less than $10,000 annually will score around an 871 on the SAT. Though this may be true, it was reported by the U.S. Census Bureau in 2007 that less than 13% of all households in America made an income of less than $15,000. So though this statistic was factual, the amount of families that fall into this category are extremely minimal, and therefore the sample does not represent the common situation. However, if it did, this is what financial aid and scholarship systems are for. Regardless of the inadequacy stated by the speaker that could be associated with the secondary school a student attends, if they are self-motivated to do well in their school and community, they will have several scholarship opportunities to assist their academic career. In 2007 to 2008, according to Lisa Rufino from the College Finance Agency, the federal government awarded over $14 billion in Pell Grants to more than 5.4 million undergraduate students. And in 2009, the U.S. Department of Education provided $100 billion in government student aid for college alone, which doesn't include the stimulus bill, which added enough funding to provide grants for about 800,000 more students in need. The speaker also goes on to state that a child raised in a higher class family will attend private school, receive an expensive sports car as a graduation gift, and have nothing to worry about because their life is planned for them, while raising children in lower class families will go to public high schools, start working at extremely young ages, and drop their education to meet financial needs. Yes, this may be true in some cases, but overall it's a sweeping generalization which cannot be applied to all circumstances. It is obvious that there are rich people and that there are poor people, and generally the wealthier can afford more. However, this is not controversial because we are all aware of this. Ultimately, being in different social classes does not determine a child's academic well-being. In his third secondary claim that a person's probability of being successful is contributed through his or her race and gender, the speaker states that white males or females have a 1 in 10 chance of being poor, while Hispanic and black males and females have a 1 in 5 chance of being poor. So this might be true. America is again rated substantially high for its lack of poverty in comparison with the rest of the world, and some of the most affluent people in our country fall into the said less fortunate category. The most obvious is the president of our country, Barack Obama, who is partially African American and ran alongside women figures Hillary Clinton and Sarah Palin. So despite this statistic, any determined individual in America, regardless of gender or race, is capable of reaching success. Now I'm going to close by recapping my thoughts. First off, it is obvious that being in different economic classes affects the way in which a person lives. This is not a controversy, so therefore the speaker's claim is irrelevant. And despite his mentioning that there's poverty in the U.S., there's poverty everywhere in the world, and America is one of the least impoverished nations. Second, being in a different social class does not necessarily bring different ways of education in the United States, because students get into college based off of intelligence and not finances. In the event that the school is too expensive, there are many financial aid opportunities open to them. And third, a person's probability of being successful in America is based off of their drive. Gender and race currently has little to do with accomplishment. So hopefully, after all I have said, you will agree that America is in fact the land of equal opportunity.
All right, you outlined the advocate's claim very clearly. Signposting, as you got to the first point, was good. You had some nice statistics suggesting that there are changes in the rates of poverty, and that the advocate's change in the poverty level is really not indicative of a trend, and you had some good information to show that there are changes, although some of it seems like it could be a little bit more contemporary. I thought that you introduced the idea of social classes here adequately, but it was much clearer in your summary what the point was that you were going to be making, and that is that that's not really relevant, since there's no denial that the social classes do exist. The only question is, do they limit people's opportunities? And I thought you had a good argument there about our general position in the world when it comes to poverty. On the and the real question is, what is the source of that poverty? And the challenge is that it's because of either the social classes or the ethnic grouping of people and discrimination that goes on there. And I thought you challenged both of those things pretty well. On the education issue, you had a lot of data that suggests that people have access, that there's a good counterclaim on the financial aid and with the Pell Grants and all those sorts of things. So I thought that that worked pretty well. Maybe some data, for instance, about the frequency with which people in lower economic classes get into college, or for instance some data about the success levels of minorities in college, either graduation rates or moving into the job market. Something like that would be useful as additional information on that point. On the last point, I thought that you did an okay job minimizing the advocate's argument in terms of statistical information with a couple of good counterexamples. I don't know that it's as strong simply because of those examples. I think that this is another place where maybe there was a little bit less information for the position that you were taking than you might want to have. All right, thank you all very much.